Ant-Man actor Paul Rudd is already teasing his replacement in the MCU. Now, obviously, for those that have picked up the comics, I think they know exactly where this is going because, much like Scott Lang is the second Ant-Man who took over for Hank Pym in the comics and in the MCU, there will be somebody else that takes over. And in an interview with Inverse, the producer of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania says that they're already setting up the replacement, and it's, to no one's surprise, Cassie Lang. Surprise, surprise, but yes, Marvel Studios will be setting up more legacy characters. I don't know if people know how this works, but I've seen quite a bit of outrage and people kind of mad that they're setting up a replacement for Ant-Man. Now, I want to point this out to you guys that time moves forward and people get older, and at some point you have to retire actors and or characters. And during the time that the MCU has existed, we've seen Cassie go from, well, literally little to not knowing what's going on to now being a full-grown woman who literally is fighting alongside her father. And he has accepted a role from being a former con man to a multiverse-saving hero. So evolution and growth is the name of the game here. So speaking with Inverse, Marvel Studios creative executive Stephen Brauzard said that, yeah, the goal is to eventually get to the point where we pass the torch. And Cassie Lang will be the one that obviously picks up the mantle from her father. And they're sort of setting her up as the new Ant-Man or Ant-Man substitute in the MCU. And this all makes sense. Again, I really struggle to understand how people forget that everybody grows and ages. Like, I don't get it. People want to be stuck in this time frame where the MCU hasn't moved past the time period between Infinity War and Endgame, unless it's to erase Captain Marvel. Then they're okay with that. That could be removed, but the rest can stay, because that was like a pivotal time in their life. And they don't realize that the MCU has done this the entire time, from the beginning to now, always setting up successors, replacements, and having the characters grow out of their role, because naturally actors are getting old. So setting up a replacement for Ant-Man makes sense, because Ant-Man is already replacing Ant-Man. Like, Scott Lang already took over for Hank. So it's just continuing with that same through line, but now it's direct descendant. So I'm open for it. I want to see what they do with Cassie going forward.